Good evening, everyone, or good late night, as it were. I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. We are pretty much the after show for Stupid O'Clock, and things were really neat over there, but most everybody except me and Bill had to go to bed for the night. So, welcome to the place where people are either going to doze off on camera or they're not. Like Bill does not doze off on camera. I do, but it's one of my most endearing qualities, or so I'm told. And welcome, Joe.
Joe found us.
We don't try and hide the show, but unless you know where to look for it, it does get a little bit complicated. Oh, and Clyde and Bill. Oh, Clyde gave us a like. All right. Well, that's very nice. Thank you. And Bill did too. But since he's here, I'm going to color him just a little bit interested in being the nice guy that we know he is. So, where do we go from here?
That was a good song by Chicago. One of their earlier ones, too.
Actually, I was quoting the one from Styx, but that might not be the title. Or was it Alan Parsons? Not sure. They both sound alike to me.
Do they?
Okay. Just a little bit. I think there are a lot of bands from that era that had a similar sound, if not similar lyrics. So it's easy to kind of get them blended together in your head.
Well, there goes a lot of blending in my head pretty much 24/7, and that's the reason why I talk the way I do.
Oh, and excuse me. Oh, Mike, Jimmy, hello.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing? And I guess Jimmy just got up. So, yep. Good morning. And thank you for being here. And Joe is only going to be with us for a few minutes. The Tylenol is fixing to kick in. All right. Thank you. You're always welcome here, Joe, either on screen or in the chats. Either way is fine with us. It just depends on how you feel and what your schedule is. And believe me, Thursday nights is a little bit rough on everybody. We have to cut the show pretty much right on the 2-hour mark, if not a little earlier, because I do have to go to work on Friday mornings. So, and
whenever you say it's time to go, then just let me know.
Yep. It's 5 a.m. in the Netherlands. Yep. Well, time does not stop. That's the problem. I've been trying to get it to slow down since my kids were teenagers, all of them. And they've been scattered out over several years, so several decades, actually. Only have 2 of them contemporary with one another. No, the other 2 are contemporary with one another, but we won't go into that.
I used to push down on the top of my daughter's head all the time so she wouldn't grow, but it never seemed to work that way.
No. All it did was upset her and mess up her hair. So, now, now this is usually about the time where Chris starts getting home and ready to pop in the show for a few minutes, but we haven't heard a word from Chris tonight, so he's probably working. So let's see, 48-hour work day or a 15-day work week. I would pretty much rather have a 8-hour work day and a 40-hour work week, if not a 40 hours worth of pay for a 32-hour work week. Or a 36-hour work week. I could even handle that. But, sometimes there are times when I miss being on swing shift because every weekend was a 4-day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the 12-hour shifts and being on day shift and then night shift and then day shift and back again, that was rather unpleasant and not very good for your body's internal clock. The 4-day weekends are really, really good. Or they were. I hope I don't ever have to go back on shift again. I've only got 24 months before I am planning on retiring. So let's just hope I get to ride this pony out to the end of the race and not have to jump off and retire early for no good reason. We had a going away luncheon for the plant manager that we've had for the last couple of years today, and I had the brisket, and it tasted really good, but it was a little bit too salty for my normal diet. And I used to put a lot of salt in my diet, but then I cut almost all the salt out to try and keep myself off blood pressure medication, which it's been working. But the bad part about cutting down on salt is when you get something with more than the teeny tiny amount that you become accustomed to, it's very dramatic. You do taste it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I have against some versions of sea salt, because sea salt is extremely salty.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I like the sea salt in, these Lint sea salt truffles
Mm.
that they have are absolutely, it's a chocolate truffle, and right in the dead center, they have just like a little sprinkle of sea salt in the middle that you taste right at the end of it, and it's perfect. And Laura and we went through a bunch of these before, and they found out that particular one was our favorite of all the different ones they had. But
Mm-hmm.
there's some other things that have sea salt on them that are just too much for me, and I don't have a issue with my sodium levels, not or anything. They're just too salty.
Yeah, and like I said, once you get used to less salt after having put salt on everything, uh, when you get more than what you're used to, it is very dramatic difference in the taste of things.
Hmm.
Now, now this was some really good, and the barbecue sauce was I chose the sweet barbecue sauce rather than the vinegar based barbecue sauce, and it was excellent and offset the extra salt from the brisket quite a bit. It made it much easier for me to go ahead and finish off my meal. Um, but I have had just a touch of indigestion ever since lunchtime today. So that is one of the reasons we're doing like John and having to turn the microphone off and so that I don't inadvertently make someone think that I'm making an editorial comment on some of their chat comments. So, which is not to be confused with my frequent dashes to the smallest room of the house, because you can't go drinking beer all day and keep it to yourself. Let me tell you, you
Well,
open up a new one, you're going to have to go and get rid of the last one you just finished.
like
So,
they say, you never buy it, you just rent it.
yeah, thankfully, that rent rate has not increased too heavily. Either that or I'm buying the cheap plonk still.
Well, I find even with the root beer and that'll eventually go through you and that, but not so much as I drink a lot of vitamin water during the day, to where I used to drink a lot of tea or
Yeah.
at one time, pop and that, but you know,
Mm.
But
Every once in a while, just the amount of carbonation in something gets to me. Um, Not so much the brand of beer that I drink, because it's a light beer. Um, it's not supposed to be heavily carbonated, just enough to improve the flavor somewhat. But I will get different soda pops of some kind or another, and they will be massively carbonated. And that
well, and
causes a little
yeah,
bit of pain.
I'm back to the non-carbonated Spreckers, but the carbonated version of it did have a really good taste that was just slightly different than this. So if it wasn't for the way that it affected me, then that's,
Oh, oh,
would
oh!
be fine.
You're saying carbonated? I think you mean caffeinated.
Or caffeinated. I'm sorry. I was here
I was I
listening to
was
you say carbonated, and
I was just about to ask about how you find non-carbonated root beer, because that would
well,
basically be cold sassafras tea, which would be good.
I do love cold sassafras tea as much as I love hot.
Hmm.
Now, I wish I could find that tasted like the original in like a Keurig pod. I'm still looking for a hot apple cider one, and I found one that Laura was telling me about one, but she couldn't remember the brand name of it. So I was in our local Meijer grocery store a few days ago, and I took a screenshot of this one that I saw on there, and she said, "No, that's not it. I've had that before." I don't know, she didn't like it or whatever. I'm not sure what she said now, but um, I love good hot apple cider, but it's like anything else. The only cold apple cider I could drink is the real thing.
Yeah, yeah. Now there's a company that makes the packets of instant cocoa,
Mm-hmm.
like Swiss Miss, and it is apple cider, or at least a dehydrated apple juice. But
Mm-hmm.
you put some boiling water in that, like you were making a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and it tastes really, really good. I have done that, and when I was under the weather, I'd get one of those and a packet of Theraflu at the same time, and that was really nice. It like a spoonful of sugar. It helped the medicine go down and improved the taste of Theraflu enormously. And
Mm-hmm.
I have been known to just uh, dump a packet of Theraflu in something, put a tea bag in it, and boil the water really, really, really hot, and make a cup of basically lemony tea with acetaminophen and aspirin mixed in, which is I understand most of the stuff that's in a Theraflu. It has a
Mm-hmm.
couple of other ingredients as well. I'm not sure exactly what the decongestant and expectorant ingredients are, but you put them in a cup of tea. You put them in hot apple cider, and it's much more palatable. It, and the quicker you can drink it, the faster the medicine gets in your bloodstream and starts working, and the better you feel.
Well, what you said about sassafras tea earlier, when we were kids, mom made sassafras tea uh,
From the roots.
for from the roots. Yeah, she had a pot that she put on the stove, boiling water, boiled the roots in there, and then she added a couple sprinkles of sugar to it, but
Mm-hmm.
not much, and we would just add our own. But that the first signs of a cold, she always gave us that because of just the herbalness that come from our family roots. No pun intended, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's what they gave their kids, and to the day it still worked for us.
Oh yeah.
Back in the 60s and 70s, and I've had this sassafras tea that come in a jar, and it was a concentrate, and it had a green label on it. And I've been sitting here the last 2 minutes trying to think of the name of it. I think it's called Pappy's,
Mm-hmm.
Pappy apostrophe S. It's not bad, um,
But it's
but
no
it's
touch on the real thing.
it right. Um, like how I say with the apple cider, I have to have the real thing. If I don't drink Indian summer apple cider or Mott's or some of these other ones cold. I always say if you can see through it in the bottle or the jug, then it's not the real thing. And I remember when you could get the apple cider, these people would have these old fashioned presses. We'd go to uh, maple syrup festivals over in Indiana in
Yeah.
October, and they would make it right then and there, and you could get a glass or whatever and buy it by the glass. But because of federal laws, if you sold it by the half gallon or gallon jugs, it had to be pasteurized.
Yep.
Um, and that really didn't take effect, I think, till sometime in the 1990s around here. And I know that right after that happened, it seemed like this stuff doesn't taste right. It doesn't taste the same.
Yeah, because once you boil it enough to pasteurize it, it does alter the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It
It
really
kind of
does.
weakens it a little bit,
Yep.
and that, but
Now, uh, one that I have been able to find at conventions, but it is alcoholic, so is Angry Orchard,
oh
and
yeah,
it has a very nice taste to it. Uh, the alcohol content is not very heavy, but it's definitely a hard cider, but not one of those where you got to put it in a 2 gallon crock with three X's on the side, and Granny'd call it a rheumatism medicine. That's something entirely different there.
well, I
That's
know
not.
one year I kept real apple cider around a little bit longer than what I should have, and it turned hard.
Mm, yeah, that for me that would be a fun weekend, but yep. If you keep things like I once bought uh, a half gallon of pink grapefruit juice and put it in the fridge and didn't open it for about a week, maybe two. And then when I did open it, it had become carbonated. It had fermented and was fizzy. And that was some interesting grapefruit juice. Let me tell you. Yeah, Sean, just us right now. A couple of other people were supposed to be here. Joe Dog had to back out at the last minute before stupid o'clock because he's not 100% yet, and um, he was afraid that once he got started talking, he'd just go into a coughing fit and have to leave the show anyway. And then he started getting tired because it's recovering from some of these things is very energy intensive. And then Stephanie is not feeling well tonight, so she had to bow out as well. We wish her the best, and she did pop into the comment section on Stupid O'clock and let us know that she was still there, just not well enough to be on the air. So we are just going to sit here and ramble on for a little while, and then close it down, and I will go to bed so I can go to work in the morning. Saturday night's when we can drink champagne and dance all night. But Thursday night is one of those where I really got to call a close time on it because I've got to. That alarm clock goes off at 6 o'clock, whether I want it to or not.
Just make sure the bulb in your electric candle light isn't burned out.
Oh no, no. Lola sees to that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he does.
Well, Sullivan says he can give us about a half an hour, but let me see here. I think I still have the chat window up. Let me see. Stupid clock link send. And let's see. Go down. Scroll down here to Mr. Sullivan. And see if that works. Well, it's another one of those long links, but it pulled up the window. So there you go, Sean. Hop on in here, and we will try and keep people from sleeping for another 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long we can.
Yeah.
Devices not connected. There you go. 30 minutes.
There he is.
How long we can. Yeah. Devices not connected. There you go. There he is. You're going to have to buy a headset there, Sean.
Yeah, you got to turn that audio down.
Yeah, I'll mute it.
You're going to have to buy a headset there, Sean.
Yeah, you got to turn that audio down.
Yeah, I'll mute it. Getting on
You're
it?
going to have to buy a headset there, Sean.
Yeah, you got to turn that Echo. Oh, darn, he already muted it. Oh, well.
Yeah, there's an echo cancellation setting there that you can use.
Yes.
On StreamYard. And then a good headset is a must.
Get a little Logitech one here.
Or at least earbuds, and then use the built-in microphone.
Speaking of Logitech, I finally got a Logitech mouse.
Hey,
little wireless dude. It had the little USB thing in it. It was actually in this little compartment right here next to the battery.
Yeah.
And because the instructions were micro-sized, and even with my cheaters, I couldn't read them. So where I plug it in, because there's not anything to plug in on my tablet, or at least that the cover hasn't covered up to plug in the little USB thing, I plug it into the hub that I have connected. And I found out, so I got a chance to play with it this afternoon a little bit, just to make sure that it worked, and played with the keyboard, and the keyboard is very comfortable, so I'm happy with it. And
well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. The only problem I have with the wireless mouse is you have to change the batteries a little bit more frequently than you would wish for. Even though it's got a little thing that puts it to sleep and then wakes it up again next time you move it.
mm-hmm.
Mine actually just has an on-off switch on the bottom of it, and I just shut it off. Now, he told me that this, I don't know what kind of battery that is in there, but he told me that that should last a good while. He said, well, how often would you use it?
Take care of it, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I had it, when I clicked the link, it opened a window, and I forget that all the time, and I have to close the Facebook window out because it was on both. Yes.
Yeah. That'll do it. And then StreamYard itself has that echo cancellation setting too. But if you've got another window open, I did that on the other show. I was trying to get into the Last Man Standing window, and I clicked on the Stupid O'Clock link. So I was in Stupid O'Clock with two different tabs on the computer, and the echo was
That's exactly what it
epic.
was. I was listening to you guys before I was linked in, and so I was two different tabs. So,
We just thought you were in the Grand Canyon.
well, I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but I suppose it would sound like that.
Me either.
Mm.
Well, when you go there, you got to act like Chevy Chase. You look at it and go, and you say, "Okay, let's go."
Totally agree.
That's a big bitch.
How is Stephanie?
She was doing all right, and then the stress of all the stuff that she had to get done today kicked in, and her stomach got upset, and she just didn't feel like she'd be able to be on the show, and,
I totally understand.
have to duck out every few minutes and deal with the digestive issues, and so she just and she did pop in on the chat there in Stupid O'Clock and let us know she was watching us, but
well, we're all in the same spot with Stephanie. So.
Well, I got some ulcers that when they kick in, that's it. I have to back. And I think that happened to me on Stupid O'Clock one night, or your show, one of the two, Dan. I got in for about the first hour, and then it just went from bad to worse in a heartbeat. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to get out. And
yep,
I think I missed it.
I don't remember which show it was, but I remember the instant in question. Yeah, you just, like, you turned green and clicked out real quick.
Well, it just, when it acts up, it's like right down here, it feels like I've been gut shot. And and there, there's a hole that opens up and closes a little bit and opens up again. And when it opens up wider, a little hole in my esophagus, and that's when it acts up. And I control it with omeprazole that I use as needed. And then, of course, like what we were talking about with salt and things, I watch what I eat and watch how I prepare my food. So tomorrow night at the auction, we'll probably be eating the deep fried cauliflower again, and that's okay once a week. It's wonderful. Now I just eat it plain. Laura likes it with ranch dressing.
Okay, I could go with the cauliflower with ranch dressing.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you one thing. I can't eat cauliflower any other way. It's just, first time I ever tried it, Laura got it at the auction, came over, and I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Well, it's deep fried cauliflower. I want you to try it." And she hands me this napkin, and I said, "Napkin?" And she says, "Yeah, that's for when you're going to spit it out into the napkin and that, because I know you won't like it." And as soon as I tried it, I really liked it. And so not that I eat all my vegetables deep fried, but that one.
That's fine.
So anyway, we all got our little issues, and some of us have volumes, and some of us have a whole library, but that we deal with. And I got enough pills either sitting on my bedside table or in the living room that I could probably start my own pharmacy with. But
that would be my wife. Yes.
Yeah. And I never thought it would be that way, but you know what? If it keeps you alive for a little bit longer, then so be it. I'll be a pill popper.
Yeah, but not the pill popper that most people think pill poppers are.
No, not that kind of pill popper. Xarelto. I take Xarelto blood thinners because I've had 2 pulmonary embolisms in a year and a half. The second one gave me a heart attack on top of that, which almost killed me. They had to rush me from one hospital to a half hour away to another hospital in an ambulance. they gave me super blood thinners before they put me in an ambulance. And then once they did, they had to put a nurse in the back of the ambulance with me to get me there, because the blood thinners they put me on that kept me alive were so strong I could have bled out from it. So yeah. Now the Xarelto keeps me alive. I take one a day, and I go in it used to be every 3 months to get checked, get blood work done and that. Now it's every 6 months. So it's gotten better, but I will never be off of them. I'll be on them the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that. You know, just something you got to do.
Yeah, that's why I cut back on the salt, because my dad had to go on blood pressure medication. And the doctors pretty much told him, well, once we put you on this, you'll never be off of them again. And then they wound up changing the actual meds from time to time.
14 years old. He said, you have shaved your first time. You'll never stop. I was just trying to lighten the mood a little bit. So.
Oh. Well, you know how us old folks are. When we get together, we talk about our ailments and our medications.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not on any medications right now. I was on high blood pressure stuff, but I quit doing it, and apparently it was me being nervous going into the office making my blood pressure go up. Because we got a blood pressure cuff, and I'm okay.
Right after I had my second PE, when I would go for my 3-month visit, they would say, they would check all my vitals, and they'd say, oh, your blood pressure's up a little bit. I said, I never had problems with my blood pressure. And then finally, the one time the nurse says, well, I'm taking it now because I'm supposed to, but I'm going to take it about 15 minutes later again. She did. It went down quite a bit. The stress from walking into the doctor's office, which is a huge building, walking all the way back to the room to get all your vitals taken and then back into the other room, was enough just to raise my blood pressure up enough that they would say, oh, this is a little high.
Yep.
And then it went back down to normal at the time. Because it doesn't do that now, because I'm about 80 pounds lighter. I'm a lot better as far as the embolisms and the blood clots, everything that I got and that. So I'm not working my heart as much as what I was before either.
I got to buy a new electric razor. The one that I've got now that won't keep a charge long enough for me to trim my beard up. Of course, I've got my money's worth out of it. It's about 10 or 15 years old.
I know that this guy is going to LibertyCon. What about you, Bill? You coming to LibertyCon?
Yeah, Chris, you're exactly right. Oh,
When did you say that was?
It would be
LibertyCon?
Or the
weekend of June
mid
18th, isn't it?
It's mid-June as far as I know so far.
It's already sold out, Sean. Nobody else can
oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's been sold out for 3 years.
Yes, it has been. Yes, it has been.
Yep.
Well, that's how long since they had it, though, right? 3 years ago, the last time they had it?
We did it virtual last year.
Yep. But still, that didn't require the hotel room or the membership.
Right. So right.
All the memberships have been rolled over for, well, actually,
since 2019.
Yeah, but we added 250 memberships last year.
Yeah. Yep. So and those are people that wound up on the waiting list mostly.
Yeah.
And if we are allowed to do another one live next year, just be forewarned that the last time we were doing memberships for a live convention, every single membership sold out in 26 minutes.
26 minutes and 32 seconds. Thank you very much.
Well, I was the one that was keeping time, so yeah.
Not shabby.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It used to take a couple of weeks or a month or thereabouts.
Well, when I first started, it took 6 months to do.
Yeah, and there were a couple of times when, for some strange reason, the hotel would start taking reservations for the next year's convention.
And Danny Boy here is the guy that got me to go to my first one.
Yep. And hell, half the hotel was sold out before they ever opened up for membership badges being bought. You know, people were bound and determined, which just lets you know how much fun LibertyCon is. If it takes no more than that amount of time and burns up that many man hours of trying to sit there and get the reservations to go through, even though it's an online store, but I think we've got a more subtle kind of bot. Do anybody know? Do anybody know that person? From Pakistani.
Nope. I'm just wondering who they were saying old man, because all three of us are old men. So
yeah,
I'll pony up for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am now 53 years old. So there you go.
I guess as long as they behave themselves, Dan.
No, I just went ahead and blocked them.
Oh, okay.
It didn't remove their comment, though, for some strange reason.
No, I was going to say, I see both comments still. So, yeah, I've been getting some strange requests in my Everyday is Saturday group where some people apparently joined. I think I'm going to have to change some of the settings on there, because I've just kind of been letting people join because it is a public group, but they got to follow the rules as far as posting in there. So it's got to be something related to Saturday morning TV commercials, PSA, stuff like that from the 50s to the 80s or through the 80s.
Oh, the Saturday.
So they got to. Yeah, it's all about Saturday morning TV and that whole experience that kids these days don't get. So anybody can join, but then they have to go through me before they can post something, and that's generally when I find out there's some people that's been joining that I don't think will be very good members.
I understand.
Yes.
So
yes, indeed.
I think I have to go through, and instead of asking questions as far as the group rules as far as posting, I think it's also going to have to be for joining as well.
We have that problem on Aphelion, in the forums. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Did you hear that? That's what Fred does with the Larry Niven group. He has a challenge question to come into the group, like, what's your favorite Larry Niven story?
Mm-hmm. And it's surprising the number of bots that haven't ever read any Larry Niven stories. You'd think they would be better educated. Yeah, we got the same kind of problem with the forums over on Aphelion. There could be 100 people loosely defined people trying to join the forums and have no idea how to answer the test question. And then even the ones that do manage to answer the test question will come on and post some kind of questionable link and be the only communication they make. And then we have one of the staff members that just adores stomping bots. He will go through and kick those folks right back out and ban them. In at one time, long time ago, we wound up banning an entire uh, area of the almost a half a country on the internet.
Yeah,
Could not yeah, I mean, that was the only thing we could do was block where they were coming from. And then later on, people learn more how to do it a little bit more um, finely aimed.
Hmm.
So,
Well, with mine, it's the questions are, do you agree to do blah, 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 blah? And then all they got to do is respond and say, I agree. But then I still check them out. But the ones that say no response on them, they're gone. I've done, you know,
hell yeah.
I've
Keep the
sent,
group playing. Hell yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
you've got what you're trying to do here. You don't really want endless interruptions and annoyances to everybody that's actually there to have a good time.
The only thing that I haven't figured out on Facebook with that, being the admin of that group, is that, okay, when somebody wants to post on there, Facebook is supposed to show you a preview of the posts that they want to put on there, which some of them I see, but some I don't. So there are some that I see.
Fred all the time. Facebook sucks at that.
Well, Sean, I'll turn around and I'll see something like I saw one today, a preview that I allowed because it was just somebody wanting to post something about the 70s Hanna-Barbera cartoon, the Hair Bear Bunch. Yeah. And there was no incriminating links with it or anything. Fine, okay. And I let them post that in there. Saw another one where they answered the question and said, I agree. It showed the preview. I swear I was looking at a family reunion from a third world country with all kinds of incriminating looking links in there. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You know, I'm just going to send you off, you know, and go. You're going to go into the forbidden zone, and that's where I sent them. But I do need to change the settings, though.
Yeah, Chris said that Facebook changed the settings for public groups. They redefined some of the settings.
I'm just going to have to go.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take some time and then relearn some of what the Meta messed with.
The Fred I'm talking about is Fred S. Kuntz. He's the manager of the Larry Niven group on Facebook. Just to let everybody know.
For a second, Sean, I thought you said Dean L. Kuntz.
No, I did not. Fred S. Kuntz.
Yeah.
Run, what was it? Oh, God, now my memory has failed.
I'll drink to that.
Well, go for it there, Dan. You probably remember Artimation Studios.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he's since been retired and still a really good friend of mine.
Has he done anything we should know about, or?
I remember him saying that he did something for Discovery Channel called JFK Inside the Car, where they had the digital car.
The digital reconstruction of the events.
Okay. Yeah.
Of that day.
One of his things, yes.
Yes. And isn't he the one who's very, very critical of the Star Trek reconstructions, the re-edits with the modern day special effects subbed in over original the original series shooting stuff. He doesn't like that at all. If I'm thinking of the right person, he doesn't
And
really
yes,
like that.
you are. And Fred also is a big 20,000 Under the Sea fan, and created the model for what they sell at Disney for the Nautilus, and gets no credit for it.
Oh, wow.
Because a friend of his, if I remember correctly, said, "Hey, can you do this?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And the friend took it and then sold it to Disney, and Fred gets nothing.
One of those lesson learned kind of things.
Yeah, no shit.
Well,
yes, I talked to him.
You got to protect your work. And I know somebody used to tell me that they said, well, you need to make a watermark for all your sketches and that, so somebody doesn't steal them. And so the first time I ever tried to make one, you could see too much of the watermark and that. Well, now PixArt has created a watermark that's so efficient you can't see it until you try to reprint it. And then it's just all over the place, like you're buying a photograph from one of those places. It's late, and I can't think of the name of the places to buy
I'm
the.
go to bed myself.
Yeah, well, I'm not tired or anything. It just
I just appreciate y'all letting me in when I'm not being stupid.
Well, we prefer to let you in when you're not being stupid.
Yeah. And
oh, Dan, I saw that you loved my comment on your book.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. That came across in my Facebook memories today, and I'm going, well, it's still out there. There's going to be
tell Bill about it.
Oh, Bill knows about it.
Well, I go get a little bit more wine.
Yep. The rights to it have reverted back to me from the original publisher, and my new publisher is wanting to put out a revised edition with all of the original typos corrected, and I made sure there were brand new typos inserted just to make sure everybody gets that down home feel.
That's like the special edition with the typos. It's like some people don't like the typos. Those are the people that listen to CDs, and the people that like the typos are the people that listens to 33 1/3 vinyl records because they like the pops and the hisses.
The clicks and pops and hisses and the scratch right there at the end.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Everything I have now is digital. Everything I have is on hard drive. I don't even have a disc player hooked up to the system anymore.
Well, I heard WBBM say this past year that for the first time in 30 years, vinyl has outsold CDs for music. It was like by 78% or something like that, 77, 78%.
I can understand that for perfectionists and stuff, but everything I have is digital.
Well,
that's the thing. There's not that many CDs to outsell because everything is digital now.
Yeah,
that's a good point, Dan.
Yeah, the people that used to make the physical CDs for my first 3 albums, they shut down operations. There will not be any more physical CDs unless I go through Bandcamp and find a company that produces physical CDs, and it's much more convenient for people at band
As
camp.
long as the power grid's up,
go
if you
ahead.
want to be that kind of, want me to be that kind of person, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easier for them to just get a download.
I mean, if I don't know, what do you think? If vinyl is making that big of a takeoff, you can always put a vinyl record on. If you have a needle, you can spin it with your hand. Yeah.
Oh, I've got one connected up to the computer. I've got 400, 500 vinyl LPs in the living room. I can bring them
Looking
back
at your
here.
house, I can totally understand it.
I can bring them back here
Yeah.
one at a time and play them, and
Bill,
the
You
program that came
understand,
with
I have been
the
at Dan's house, and every wall in his house has books like you wouldn't believe. They're like 8 shelves on every wall, all the way down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one wall is taken up with photographs, and the opposite wall is a bookshelf. It's floor to ceiling.
I have the most of mine in boxes in the storage room, but because Laura so graciously, because she's the best person in the world, she bought me an antique barrister's bookcase this past summer. That's got 4 or 5 shelves. It's the kind where the doors, they're glass doors with little metal pulls, and they flip up and then they slide back underneath the shelf part of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And but to answer Chris Walker's question, he was making a comment about Terry Kath. It's the anniversary of Terry Kath's death in 1978, but his birthday is coming up on the 31st. He was born in 1946, I think it was, in Chicago, of course, but he died in Los Angeles.
Well, our condolences to the fans.
And my favorite lead guitar player of all times, and one that Jimi Hendrix himself said that was better than him. When Jimmy says you're better than him, you listen.
Yeah, really. Oh. Hell, I'm not even the best guitar player in this chair.
Well, I don't know. I think everybody, and Dan, you could probably relate to this. You got certain people that just influence you greatly. So when you started playing guitar, or when I started playing, well, even drums before I started playing bass guitar, but I don't consider myself a drummer. I consider myself a bass guitar player, but you got certain people that heavily influence you, and so your style might be a collaboration of several styles of bass, and mine, as much as I wished it was all John Entwistle, I could never even begin to duplicate his style, but I do have hints of it in mine. I have hints of Paul McCartney, hints of Stanley Clarke, to name a few, but it's about 4 or 5 people that through, some that you might detect if you heard me play whatever, and some you may not, or whatever. And it just, Terry Kath, though, I think if I did play a guitar, he would be one of the ones that I would try to emulate if I ever thought that I could ever. Well, I never could play. I play rhythm guitar, and I have before, but I never could play lead. And that person that I just lost on Christmas Eve lead guitar player in our first band, and that he was like that with Leonard Skinner and a lot of the Southern rock bands, and that, and it heavily influenced him. And he was a perfectionist that drove us up the wall, because that's all he was ever doing half the time. But later on, it came full circle for him, because it really made him really good. And
Sounds like he would have been a perfect fit for Boston. Talk about perfectionists. Yeah. The thing I noticed about John Entwistle, not only were the notes he played very, very important, but the silences in between them were very dramatic and very well thought out. I mean, it was just the contrast of standing there, hitting 2 or 3 notes in the right place, and then cutting loose for like a minute, and then stand there and wait for the next turnaround in the melody, and then hit 2 or 3 notes and wait, and hit 2 or 3 notes and wait, and then cut loose again. This is his style. He played the silences as well as he played the notes.
Keith Moon talked about Entwistle and Pete Townsend through Townsend's lead guitar playing. That Townsend had all the highs, and Entwistle played all the lows, everything in the basement. And Moon was the one that kept them perfectly laced together with that erratic, crazy drumming of his.
Tommy Smothers called it sloppy drumming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna wherever it is, I'm gonna say goodnight. Hopefully, I'll see y'all before too much longer. Janice cooked me up a little chicken in the pressure cooker, and the Rudy, that kind of stuff. Ooh, I don't know.
Tryptophan sleepy time for you.
Well, it's chicken, not turkey, but anyway.
Hey, I'll mention it's still in there.
Well, love you guys, and hopefully y'all let me back in here next week when we can do a whole lot more shit.
Yep, sure
will.
will.
Glad you could pop in there, Sean. We're always happy to see you.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll talk to you all next weekend.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it here at an hour. We'll do another short show for this week, and then Saturday night we'll cut loose if we're all feeling well and in the mood, and we'll go on as long as we possibly can. Because I don't have to get up on Sundays.
Right? Yeah.
I can one thing all day long.
I wanted to ask you, when you cut out of here, can you hang backstage for a minute? I wanted to ask you about something that cannot be talked about on here.
Certainly.
Okay. All right. Just briefly.
All right. Well, let me go down here to the brand, and thank you very much, everybody who is still watching. And sorry, we're not going to go another hour here, but I do have to work in the morning, and Bill's not feeling 100% either. So we're just going to go ahead and run the show outro and click on out of here.
We'll see you Saturday night.
Well, if we don't see you Friday in the green room, we'll see you Saturday night on Stupid O'Clock and The Last Man Standing once again, and things will be hunky dory. Well, wait a minute, we got another good night, Chris. Thank you.
Good night, Chris.
And let's see that's the intro. Here we go. And a one, and a two.